Let's now shift focus to India. Now, parents in India as well are concerned over the government's plans to reopen schools in July. More than 2 lakh parents from across the country have now signed an online petition, and they're demanding that schools must only be reopened when there are no COVID-19 cases or if a vaccine is made available, whichever comes first. The panic spread after the central government announced its plans to lift lockdown restrictions in a phased manner. As the plan stands now, schools, colleges and coaching centres and other educational institutions may be reopened in the month of July. Board exams have already been pushed to July, and the government has already said that the decision will only be taken after consultations with the state governments as well as the union territories. But parents are rightfully anxious. They say, and I quote, "The opening of schools in July will be the worst decision by the government. It's like playing with fire when we ought to douse it with full force. The current academic session should continue in e-learning mode." Universities and schools in India have been shut down since the first of the lockdown restrictions were introduced on March 16th. Subsequent rounds of lockdowns meant that classes have been suspended completely for over 2 months now, and e-learning has enabled students to attend classes to a certain extent while isolating at home. Now, in the petition, parents have questioned the government over the hurry in reopening schools. They ask, if the schools are doing a good job educating the kids through online modes, then it could continue for the rest of this year. Parents believe that it is safe for kids to go to school. Not right now, and the last few days have seen an exponential rise in COVID-19 cases. India has recorded more than 8,000 new cases in the last 24 hours or so, and this has taken the overall tally to more than 198,500 cases. And now it seems to have crossed almost 2 lakh. The death toll is nearing 5,600, and the fear is that this is still India's first wave of the virus outbreak. Many are pointing to what's happening in South Korea, where hundreds of schools have been asked to close down again after a second wave of cases was reported in the country. And more than 500 schools were closed on Friday alone ahead of the reopening. Several students too were tested positive. This is the fear of all parents. Schools could become a hotspot in India for the second wave of infections. Also, with the lack of guidelines and enough time to prepare the school premises for social distancing, any plans to reopen the schools will be looked at with fear. As India's student per class ratio is higher than most, the government must reconsider 2 crucial questions: how to reopen schools, and secondly, what is the need to reopen schools just yet?